gels because she's such a commanding screen presence. We should also mention, therefore, Switch, which is another European thriller in which a woman comes from Montreal to Paris. She does an apartment swap, and she arrives at the new apartment in Paris where she's going to spend some time. Next thing that happens is there's a knock at the door and the police turn up and they find a dead body in her flat and say that she's the person who lives in the apartment, therefore she's... Because she says, no, I'm not, I'm somebody else, I'm from, but actually all records now seem to say that she is. So it's like, she's become this other person. And of course, the central selling point of this is that the lead investigating detective is played by Eric Cantona, who, funnily enough, Eric Cantona is one of the very few people who has made the transition from sportsman to successful actor. And there's been some rather sniffy reviews of Switch. And it is, let's face it, I think it's coming out on DVD on Monday. And again, it's an interesting setup. You stay at somebody else's apartment, you find a corpse. It's not you, but the police think it is, and all trace of your identity has gone, and you are, in fact, this other person, although that's an idea that we've seen done several times. But it's done in a sort of B-movie way, and the interesting setup then just goes all over the place, and the plot is all over the place. There are the holes that you could drive a truck through. On the subject of Eric Cantona, however, being a perfectly decent gruff detective, doing the gruff detective, I mean, it's French, so there's a lot of smoking indoors and looking a bit portly, and and he does that fine. But he's a perfectly decent...
He was a good guest when he came on
the
show. He was great.
And he acted himself very well in that Eric and Me or Eric and I or Me and Eric film directed by Ken Loach, Eric and One. And as everybody said, well, of course he acted himself well in that because he was acting himself. I point to the jury to Gordon Ramsay, who could not act himself to save his life in what was one of the worst films of last year. I can't remember, what was it called? Some pudding, some kind of souffle, blimey,
Exactly.
kitchen sink.
So next week, by the